Thank you very much to Trust Ice for sponsoring this video. In my previous video on Lily, we looked at the Josh Pieters documentary where she was followed around in the lead up to, and then during as well, the 100 Men escapade. I decided to make jokes about the whole ordeal because I felt that at its core, that's what the whole situation really deserved the most. Ridicule. But now that I've done that and I've got all of the snide comments out of my system, I intend to take a deeper look at the documentary because I feel that the subject, Lily, is quite a bit more interesting than the standard mainstream OnlyFans girl. Lily seems to be a little more complex, and I'll get into why I think that as this video goes on. First of all, despite the title, I have to admit that I do not feel sorry for either party in this situation. I don't feel sorry for Lily, nor do I feel sorry for the men that were partaking in the experiment, if you call it that. I think there's a lot to be said about the mindsets of the people who involved themselves in this, but I feel that the headlines that have been describing either side as victims, they're, in my opinion, misguided. I revert back to the previous sentence. There's a lot to be said about the mindsets of the people who involved themselves in this. Everyone involved chose to be involved. Lily Phillips was already making copious amounts of money on OnlyFans before this stunt, and all of the men were already subscribed to a porn star's OnlyFans page. They were already paying money for their own sexual gratification and opted in to being physically present for the stunt. Neither side, in a general sense, has had a world-altering experience. To begin the documentary, Josh Pieters enters Lily's home, which is visibly expensive looking. Regardless of what you think of the business model, when you boil it down to a point as basic and superficial as monetary profit, it is very evident that Lily has made a lot of profit. Therefore, by anyone's standards, she is the definition of a successful businesswoman, which is why it was surprising when this was said.
Would you call yourself a businesswoman?
I don't know about that. People would give me a bit of stick if I said I was a businesswoman, but I guess definitely business-minded.
I would call you a businesswoman.
Thanks. A lot more people would use the word just, I guess.
On first impressions, just from that segment, it almost seems as if there's a self-imposed sense of shame by Lily, where she isn't allowing herself to be seen positively for what she does. Whether you agree or not that any part of her career should be seen positively, that's up for personal interpretation. But what I found the most interesting about this is the stark contrast compared to other OnlyFans girls. It feels as if a default sense of pride and vicious empowerment is embedded deep within sex worker culture. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you come across an OnlyFans model who is at least moderately successful, there's always an audacious attitude that goes along with it. They're ready to defend their lifestyle vehemently, which is the complete opposite of Lily. To me, this could suggest a couple of things. My own interpretation behind the psychology of defensiveness is one of insecurity. I feel that generally, we become more defensive over our attributes that we are the least sure of. For example, if you were to tell me that I have blonde hair, my response is going to be dismissive. I won't get mad. I won't try and argue my side. I'd probably just laugh at you because I'm so very sure that I have dark hair and that you have misplaced your glasses. However, if you were to tell me that I'm developing bald spots, I may then fight my corner a little more because there's potentially a lot more truth to that observation compared to something that is so visibly not true, like Brad has blonde hair. This is the same reason why I believe that in some cases, when OnlyFans girls become very, very defensive over what they do, it could be an indication of insecurity and therefore a need to prove themselves and prove their profession. Lily's air of detachment could suggest the opposite. She really is at peace with who she is and what she does and doesn't feel the need to change anyone's minds. Hence, she doesn't care if you don't recognise her business accolades. This is a convenient conclusion that I've come to from a small segment of the documentary, I must admit. And this is where Lily becomes complicated, because if you skip a few more minutes in, my entire point that I've just made about Lily's detachment is somewhat contradicted.
Are there days where you second guess it ever?
Not particularly. There are days where I'm sat here on a Sunday, I am feeling a little bit more lonely. My friends have all got boyfriends, and I'm like, you know, I see a comment and people are like, God, no one's ever gonna marry you or something like that. And that can definitely like make me feel a little bit like, oh God.
This is where Lily, for me, became interesting because I do believe that there is a true sense of self-acceptance without the inclusion of a blind sense of empowerment, which is often artificially put in place either consciously or subconsciously to disguise one's own self-doubt. Lily doesn't seem to operate like that at all. With that said, Lily isn't a stranger to hiding her self-doubt. She just uses a different method for it. She uses delusion rather than blind feminist empowerment.
And that can definitely like make me feel a little bit like, oh God, have I chose the wrong career? But like, I just totally love my job.
I don't know if you clocked that or not, but for a moment she was a little too honest and the mask started to slip. Now, I don't believe she's being purposely deceitful to Josh, who's interviewing her, or even us, the audience who are watching along. I believe the one person who Lily is trying to deceive is Lily. When she errs on the side of questioning what she doesn't give herself any time to really dive deep into that. She snaps herself back. She says, I absolutely love my job, even though the previous minute of her speaking suggests the opposite. This seems to be Lily pacifying herself. When she slips too far down a rabbit hole of actually evaluating what she does, she automatically corrects it by reverting back to a default setting of self-delusion. This tells me that the mental foundation that she's got in place to justify her life choices is built upon sand. I think that in a therapy-like setting, given the opportunity and space to really look at herself with a bit of gentle challenging whenever she contradicts herself like she did in this interview, Lily would probably crumble. It's not Josh's responsibility to play therapist, but I think if he wanted to dissect her rawest way of thinking, which is what I feel he was trying to do multiple times throughout this documentary, then he would have done well to challenge her when she does let some honesty slip and then immediately course corrects herself. This, in my opinion, would have put Lily in a metaphorical corner and made for some real-time, on-camera self-reflection. Now, even when Mr. Banter has his brain switched on, he still has bills to pay, so with that in mind, let me tell you all about today's sponsor. Hey everyone! Ready to take your gaming experience to the next level? Today we're diving into the amazing bonus offers on Trust Dice that you definitely do not want to miss. Trust Dice has an incredible welcome bonus for new users. Whether you're into the gaming side of things or making sports bets, you can claim up to free BTC or the equivalent in your favourite cryptocurrency as part of your first deposit bonus. That is a massive boost to help get you started. And here's the exciting part. Trust Dice now supports credit and debit card deposits. You can use MasterCard or Visa to fund your account and start playing in no time. Plus, users can now deposit traditional currencies like EUR, CAD, KRW, AUD and BRL in just a few clicks. Easy, right? And it doesn't stop there. Trust Dice also offers free spins and ongoing rewards for loyal players. Plus, with the Trust Dice TXT staking program, you can earn even more bonuses just by holding and staking their native token TXT. You'll get dividends paid out daily, yes daily, whilst enjoying all of the games you love. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to Trust Dice, pin comment, for more bonuses and to claim your rewards today. Whether you're a new player or a long-time user, there is always a bonus with your name on it. Remember to play responsibly and, as always, have fun.
Like, guys are always going to sexualise me, so I may as well try and profit off that bit.
I mean, not all guys are going to sexualise you.
I don't really know. I think I mean, I'm not, maybe not all guys, but a ton would.
We've unlocked another defining mentality here that lives within Lily that will be a huge contributor to her lifestyle, and that is her belief that all guys sexualise her. She believes this to such an extent that when she's immediately challenged by a man sitting across from her who was implying that he himself doesn't fall into this bracket that she has created for all men, Lily still sticks by her misinformed stance. It's true that our individual experiences in life shape our personalities and help to form key aspects of our identity. Now, your identity is not simply your opinions. It's deeper than that. It's your beliefs. It's who you believe yourself to be and who you believe others around you are as well. Part of Lily's identity is this ingrained belief that she will always be sexually objectified by men. From what I've seen of Lily so far, I don't believe that this belief is rooted in a place of conceitedness. Lily hasn't shown herself to be particularly vain at any point during this documentary. I think, unfortunately, this belief has manifested itself by way of life experience. And an educated guess points to the possibility that if Lily believes that she will always be sexualised, the sad reality may be that she always has been sexualised. I'm not about to start attempting to unravel Lily's upbringing because of one single thing she said, but to me, this negative belief that goes against all normal logic is a telltale sign of a mind that has been altered by trauma.
I can't really explain it. I get like serotonin, like from when people are like, oh my God, you're that on the internet. Sounds crazy.
I know, and I know you're saying that to me right here, but I don't believe that.
Really?
No.
It's quite interesting how she seems shocked that Josh said he doesn't believe her. And then Lily's inability to follow that on with any eye contact, which is something she's been very capable of doing up until the point that she was challenged, is telling. It could be as simple as a fear of the slight confrontation, or it could instead be following the trend of Lily's self-delusion. And maybe if there is truth to Josh's rebuttal, then that in itself is poking holes in Lily's delusions, hence why she was shocked at him not believing her. Because if she can't convince someone else, how is she going to convince herself? She goes on to ramble a little bit after this, whilst Josh just sits there quietly, which has me further wondering who it really is she's trying to convince.
I kind of love like ruffling feathers a little bit and people getting a bit like agitated by maybe the fact that I'm messed up. People think I'm like so sad and stuff like that, but that could not be like further from the truth. I don't think people realise like how happy this makes me. But I just think it's so funny and fun. I can't really put it into words.
It's clear now that she's digging herself a little bit of a hole, and it's becoming a little bit uncomfortable to watch, at least for a moment. But Josh gives in and provides her with some much needed leeway by changing the conversation topic.
Have you done anything to make sure there's not someone with a criminal record, for example, coming down?
We actually have not, no.
Do you feel safe?
Yeah. I mean, pretty sure I could take on some 50-year-old guy. No, I think it'll be fine. I'd like to think that guys aren't there I don't know what they would do anyway.
What followed on from this was the day of filming the 100 Men venture, which I covered a lot more in my previous video. And by covered, I mean I made a lot of jokes about it. One major thing that did stand out to me from this part of the documentary, though, is the interviews that took place with the men involved. Either by filmmaker design or by coincidence, not a single one of these men seemed normal. They all had a quirk to themselves, which for the most part would tell you why they were here. The first man, for example, openly states that he does things without thinking, and he only considers the consequences of his actions as an afterthought. So you really get a sense of the type of blokes who are meeting a sex worker to engage in this sort of activity. And it isn't the scholars amongst us, let's just say that. When the day concluded, Josh met up with Lily again, and what came from that was a viral moment that actually got people talking about this documentary in the first place. And that's when Lily, who up until this point has just laughed and joked her way through the seriousness of all of this, starts to cry.
Like more intense than you thought it might?
Definitely.
Sorry. It's okay. No, it's okay. Just take
yeah, 1 minute.
I don't think the crying is where Lily's real feelings start to show. I believe that they were seeded throughout the entire documentary. But again, each time they did make their appearance, Lily was very quick to self-regulate and put herself back into a state of comfortable delusion. She goes on to say that the reason she's upset is because she didn't want to let people down.
I felt bad, like some people had just travelled so far, like I didn't want to give them a shit time and like come away from this and be like, oh, that was shit.
It should go without saying, but I do not believe for a second that that is the real reason why Lily is crying. The Mail Online interviewed Lily after the documentary was released, and she had this to say about it.
So I saw the video of after you did the 100.
Yeah.
And you actually seemed quite distressed.
I was extremely overwhelmed. It was very, very intense. Obviously, just after finishing a 14-hour stunt of just constantly getting at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as soon as we finished that, camera crew came in and started probing me with questions. It was very stressful. It was more just, I mean, it was super overwhelming, a super long, hard, stressful day. And then the camera crew probing me with questions for an hour. You know, that was kind of, if I'm honest, I wish I'd kind of set a boundary, because that was kind of the last thing I wanted, was just someone hammering me with questions after completing a really long, hard day. It's personally not how I would have told the narrative or how I would have edited it, but it definitely made for a very interesting watch.
I think what her real regret was is that she did let the mask slip too much in the moment. And I think that the human portrayal goes against how she actually wants to be perceived on the internet. I don't think that Lily views it as beneficial to herself to be humanised. And whilst she says that every man sexualises her, I'm starting to believe that that's what she truly wishes for herself, because that reality would only further advance her brand and also, in a way, justify everything that she does. For her to regret not putting more of a boundary in place with the only man who was actually treating her with care and attention is the reflection of the state of mind of a woman whose very foundation can be broken apart with care and attention. In order to keep her sandcastle kingdom intact, she must be objectified. Because once she's viewed on the outside as a human being with feelings, she has to view herself that way too. And I imagine that that is just far too painful for Lily. I feel that the overwhelming, resounding lesson here is that there is a much darker aspect to sex work than a lot of young men and women realise. And I think that when you're in that world, it actually serves you to let go of your humanity. And anything that aims to separate us from our own humanity should be shunned without question. Thank you so much to my sponsor Trust Dice for making this video possible. Bye bye.